So for 3, we're going to solve x squared plus bx plus c by factoring. We have worked on factoring this year. When you come out of Algebra 2, you should be able to factor, do the quadratic formula to about anything that's presented to you. So we'll hit it a couple times. So that I want to remind you, we have ax squared plus bx plus c is a trinomial. It's a quadratic trinomial. Trinomial because there's how many terms? 3. Quadratic because the highest power is 2. Okay. This will factor into 2 binomials, and we will have the factors of A in the first position and the factors of B in the second and how we, oh, that shouldn't be a B, that should be a what? C. See, you guys know it. I didn't use my erasable pen today.
Sounds like a personal problem.
I know it is. Factors of C. So how do I get B?
Adam.
I get B by multiplying this
AA to CC.
and this. So those two multiplications combine. That means add or subtract to get what? B. So we have to be thinking about our distributive property while we're factoring. Distributed is multiplication, so factoring is what?
Multiply, dividing.
Dividing. Okay, so that's what we're doing. If you have like ax squared plus bx plus c, so a plus, it will factor into what? Plus, correct?
Yes.
If I have a minus plus, it would factor into a minus,
Yes.
because these are the factors in both of these. The factors that add to B. So if B is positive, they'll both be positive. If it's negative, they'll both be what? Negative, because we have to add them. If I have a plus minus, it's going to be plus minus. And this, the plus, is going to be the largest factor. If it is a minus, it's going to be minus plus, and then the negative will be what? Mm-hmm. And when their last term is negative, that means I don't add, I what? Subtract. The factors can I put that have a difference? What does difference mean?
My question. Say will be the largest factor also again?
Yes, in this case because it's changed.
But they're both gonna be the largest factor.
Okay, when it's a plus minus, like up here, if this is a plus, this is a minus, the largest factor will be positive.
Oh, okay,
If it's a minus minus, the largest factor will be negative. Can I say we'll have a difference, or do I need to say subtract? Which one, guys?
I don't care.
Okay, I'll say subtract, but I say difference all the time. To be. So those of you, well, y'all had me in geometry. At the end of geometry, we factored a bunch, didn't we? Okay,
Towards the
we've
end.
already factored. Yeah, we already factored this year. I mean, my
Right.
motto is fractions are our friends, and factoring is fun. Factoring never goes away.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
Does when you drop out?
Yes, I guess when it drop out.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, I am recording, and it's not appropriate to have that conversation. Okay, are you guys done with this?
No. Check it.
And you're neither one going to drop out, so it doesn't matter.
I think next
Should
year.
drop out.
So we're just going to kind of dive in. I am going to use the X method with you the entire time. If somebody wants other than that, you can come see me and we'll work on another method that I particularly like to use, but we're just going to use this method. So today we're just working on factoring. Tomorrow we will work on using our factors to solve. So our directions are just going to be factor. So I have x squared minus 9x plus 20. So we're going to make an x over here. On the top of your x, you're going to have a times c, and on the bottom, you're going to put b. So what is a? What's in front of the x squared?
1.
A 1. So 1 times 20 is 20. And it's a positive, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And then we put b, so it's going to be
9.
negative. So since this 20 was positive, that's that plus, both of my factors are going to be what the middle factor is. So what is the middle factor?
Negative.
Negative. So they're both going to be what?
Negative.
Negative. So I need the factors of 20 that
4 and 5.
add to 9.
4 and 5.
4 and 5. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this 4 and this 5 and replace that 9. So I'm going to have x squared minus
Ace.
4x minus 5x plus 20. Noah, have you been taught to factor a different way?
No.
Okay. Because I was going to say do it, and as long as you get the same answer, we're good. Okay, so now what we have is we have 4 terms, don't we? We don't have a trinomial anymore. So we're going to factor this by grouping. We're just going to attempt to group the first 2 and the
Last 2.
last 2. You notice I grouped the sign with the second one, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what does x squared minus 4x have in common?
X.
X. So I'm going to factor out an x, and I'm left with what? X minus 4. Now, on the second group, whatever this sign is right here, you factor it out.
Negative 1.
So it's a negative. Now, does 5x plus 20 have anything else in common?
No.
About 5. Doesn't 5 go into 20?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're factoring out negative 5. So when I factor out a negative 5, so negative 5x divided by negative 5 just gives me what?
4.
X.
Oh.
Okay. Then we have negative 20 positive 20 divided by negative 5, so it's going to be a
Negative 4.
negative, and it's going to be 4. Now, I know I'm on the right track if my 2 quantities are the same. Are they the same?
Yes.
Yes. So now I have one term right here and one term right here. What do they have in common?
The
Minus
x
one.
minus 4.
So I have x minus 4 because I'm factoring that out. And what am I left with?
X minus 5.
X minus 5. Guys, remember doing this now?
No.
Yeah.
So x squared plus 3x minus 12. So make your x. What goes on top? It's a times b, which would be negative 12. And, oh, not a times b. A times what? Hi.
Maybe don't be.
My brain is 2 steps ahead.
Maybe don't be 2 steps ahead.
And the bottom is b. Yes? And what is b? 3. So this has a negative, yes?
Yeah.
So that means one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. Which one is going to be negative? The biggest, is the biggest factor going to be positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, because it's a positive 3. So what I personally do is put plus, minus, because I just put my biggest factor and my smallest factor. But it really wouldn't matter if you put minus, plus, but the biggest factor has to be positive. Okay? So I need the factors of 4 that now have a difference, because one's positive, one's negative, of 3.
6.
3 and 4 and 6 and 2.
12 and 1. My other one I forget.
So my factors are 1 and 12. Yes?
Yep, 2 and 6.
2 and 6.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Can I factor that?
No.
No.
No. That does not work like that, does it?
No.
Nope. So we say it is,
No solution.
we say it is prime. We will learn the quadratic formula so we can deal with this later on. But is this all my work to show you that it's prime?
Yes.
Yes, you can't just write prime.
There's Fat Mason.
Thank you.
What's so funny, Mason?
Okay. X squared minus 49. So what's missing?
C. No.
No, we have C. B. So what this actually is x squared plus 0x minus 49.
Yes.
Okay.
Muffle.
Okay, so when I do my x here, what goes on top?
Negative 49.
A times c, so negative 49. What goes on the bottom?
0.
0. So I have a negative, so one factor is going to be positive, one factor is going to be negative, right?
Yes.
Okay, but to get 0, don't the factors have to be the same?
No, it's not negative
No.
and negative.
What?
No,
Can I see the answer of what I think?
No.
it is?
Just a,
Dang it.
what, Noah?
no.
No, you're good? You're right. Just a second, Mercedes, just not yet. I wanted to make sure I answered questions.
Yeah, tell me the answer.
Okay, so we got to get to 0. So Mercedes, what's the answer?
It's positive 7 and negative 7.
Positive 7 and negative 7. So I have x squared plus 7x minus 7x minus 49. So what do the first two terms have in common?
X,
X. So I get what?
X plus 7.
What do the next two terms have in common?
And we have to take out the negative.
We have to factor out the negative, and it's going to be
7.
7. So I get,
X minus 7.
nope,
No.
negative and a negative makes it a,
Yep. Plus 7.
so X plus 7. Did I do it right so far?
Yes.
Because I have X plus 7, right? So I factor out the X plus 7, and what am I left with?
X minus 7.
X minus 7. Now, I want to talk about this because this is a special case, guys. What do you notice about the first term and the second term?
Hold up, wait a minute. Why is that a negative 7?
0.
Because you have a negative right here. You factored out the X plus 7,
Yeah.
and you're left with X minus 7.
Alright.
Okay. Is X squared a perfect square?
No. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is 49 a perfect square?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have the difference. So this is called difference of squares. So the difference of squares is a squared minus b squared. Always factors into a minus b and a what? Plus b. Every single time. So if you notice that you have two perfect squares and it's subtraction, because that's why it's difference, can you factor straight to the answer and not have to worry about it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do x squared minus 64. Is x squared a perfect square?
Yeah.
Is 64 a perfect square?
No.
No.
What's 8 times 8?
Yeah.
64?
Yep.
And do I have the difference?
Yep.
Yes. So I can go straight to here. So what's the square root of x squared?
X.
X. So put an x and an x. One's plus minus or minus plus. Doesn't matter which way I put them. Nope. And what's the square root of 64? 8. Okay. Let's make it harder. Okay. So that you're looking at it and you're going, oh, gross. Is 16 a perfect square?
What?
Is 16 a perfect
Yes.
square? Yes. Is x squared a perfect square?
Yes.
Is 121 a perfect square?
Yes.
Is y to the fourth a perfect square?
No.
It is.
Yes, it is because
Any variable that's even is a perfect square because it'd be y squared plus y or times y squared, right?
Same difference.
So since it is, and I have difference, can I do this?
Yes.
Okay, so give myself my parentheses. I can put 1 plus, 1 minus. What is the square root of 16x squared?
4x.
4x. Put in the first term and our quantity, second quantity. What's the square root of 21? 121. So 11.
Yeah.
And what's the square root of y to the fourth?
Y to the second.
Y to the second. Do you see how that saves me some time? If you don't remember the difference of squares, can you add a 0 and do it the long way like we do everything else?
Yes.
Yes. But would it be nice to remember this?
Yes.
You didn't do it with us?
No, I wasn't done writing it down.
Okay. If I'm going too fast,
Somebody speak up. Yeah.
please tell me.
Hey, drink water. That's not water.
Go.
You know me by now, Miss Mick.
Ha! It's not Sue's scooter.
Okay. So then We have y squared plus 16y plus 64. This is another special case that I'll show you how to do it. A lot of people don't remember to look for it. So, okay, so I'm going to make my x, right? So AC goes on top and B goes on the bottom. So what's on top? 64. What's on the bottom? 16. And well, I've got plus and plus, so both of them are what?
Negative.
Positive? Because they're both addition? Or, Henry, this might help. Up here is positive, so they're both going to be whatever sign this is. Okay. So then, the factors of 64 that add to 16.
Oh, 8.
8. 8 and 8. Okay, so y squared plus 8y plus 8y equals 64. Not equals. How about plus 64? We all good? Okay. So now what? So factor the first two and the second two. So what does y squared plus 8y have in common? Y? So y plus 8. Okay, and if you're not going to write with me, I'm not going to wait at the end.
No, I already have
Is that plus 64?
Okay. Yes. So then what do I factor out next?
8.
8. So positive 8. Don't forget your plus or your minus. And I'm left with what? Y plus 8. So my final product is y plus 8 times what? Y plus 8 or y plus 8 squared. Okay. Now, what we just had, this is called a perfect square trinomial. Because I came out with something squared, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay. So, trying to think what they say. Perfect square trinomial. They call it a perfect square trinomial, but there's another word. But so. What a perfect square trinomial looks like is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, or it could also be a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So it could be plus or minus in the middle. This would factor into a plus b squared. And this would factor into a what? Minus b squared. So let's talk about what it is. This says that the first term is a perfect square. Is 1 a perfect square? Is 1 a perfect square?
Yes.
Yes. Is 64 a perfect square?
Yes.
Yes. So, is the middle term 2 times a times b?
Yes.
So, the square root of 64 is what? 8. So, 8 times 1 is what?
8.
Times 2 is
60.
16. So, would this pattern work?
Yes.
Yes. Now, most of the time you guys don't look for this pattern. But if you notice that the first term is a perfect square and the last term is a perfect square, could you check for this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so let's try one more. So w squared minus 18W plus 81. So I'm walking along in my homework, and I notice 1 is a perfect square, yes? Is 81 a perfect square? Yeah. So in my brain, what's the square root of 81? 9 times 2 is what? 18. So is it going to work with this rule?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a plus minus, so it's going to be minus. What is the square root of 1W squared?
W.
Just 1W? What is the square root of 81?
9.
9. So if I remember that rule, could it be helpful?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you going to remember it?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
Done.
How far do you guys go today? 23? Okay, so today all you're doing is factoring. Tomorrow we're going to use your homework to do your notes. So you need to have your homework done. So get